So in the current implementation, when the user logs in, we generate a JSON Web Token and return it in the body of the response. Now let's take this application to the next level. Let's imagine when the user registers, we want to assume they're logged in, so they don't have to log in separately. Of course, this requirement does not apply to every application. Sometimes you want to enforce the user to verify their email address. So after they sign up, you send them an email, then they click a link. So the process is different. But in this course, let's imagine that Vidly is an application that runs locally in a video store. So people who use this application are people who work in this video store. We don't need to verify their email address. So the first day that they join the store, they need to create an account and boom, they're logged in. So let's go to our users module. Okay, here's the post method. This is where you register a new user. If you look at the response we're returning here, we are returning an object with these three properties. Now we can add the JSON Web Token as another property here, but that's a little bit ugly because it's not a property of a user. A better approach is to return the JSON Web Token in an HTTP header. So just like we have headers in our request, we also have headers in our response object. So I'm going to go back to our auth module and borrow this line of code for generating the token. So copy this. Now back to the users module. Before we send the response to the client, we generate the token and then we call response.header. With this, we can set a header. Now for any custom headers that we define in our application, we should prefix these headers with X dash. Now we give it an arbitrary name like authentication or auth dash token. This is the first argument, which is the name of the header. The second argument is the value, which is in this case, our token. So with this simple change, we set this header and then send this response to the client. Okay. Now on line 20, we are using JWT as well as the config module. So we need to import these on the top. So constant JWT, we set this to require JSON Web Token. And similarly, constant config, we set this to require config. Now let's test this. So in the last lecture, I ran the application with Node instead of NodeMon. So my changes are not visible. So we need to stop the application and run it with NodeMon. Okay, beautiful. Now back in Postman, here on this tab for registering a user, earlier we saved this as a template so we can repeat this easily. So I'm going to change this email to an email that I have not registered before. Send. Okay, take a look. So here's the body of the response, exactly like before. Now in the headers tab, look, we have this new header, X-auth token. And this is set to our JSON Web Token. So in our client app, when we register a user, we can read this header, we can store this JSON Web Token on the client, and next time we're going to make an API call, we'll send this to the server.